Hello, everyone, and welcome into our Sixers NBA Draft Reaction, brought to you by Cure Auto Insurance. I'm Amy Fadool, alongside my partner, Marc Jackson. Marc, it's always good to see you, even if we didn't get our season as long as we would have liked. But
yes.
That means we're looking at the draft and building for the future. Now, the biggest story of the day is Ben Simmons is still a Sixer.
Yes.
There are a lot of rumors going around. We could talk about that coming up, but we got to talk about the pick. I'm surprised that they kept it at 28. You know, they kind of seemingly held on maybe to the last minute. I wouldn't be surprised to hear Daryl Morey say, when we hear from him at the end of the draft tonight, you know, maybe they were still shopping it to the end, but they go with Jaden Springer, a freshman from University of Tennessee. Are you surprised that they picked anyone at 28 and didn't try to package it?
I am, Amy, because I think at the 20th pick, you know, it's a lot of talent in this draft, but I'm thinking what the Sixers are trying to get to, would that player be able to help us now or in the near future? And I don't think so. But Jaden Springer is 43.5% from three.
Yes.
He's a young guy. He's a two-way player. You know, with Danny Green, the Furkan being free agents, you know, say, hey, we might need to bring another young guy in. But to answer your question, yes, I am surprised.
Yes, so they do pick at 28. They do have two more picks. They picked up 53, so they have 50 and 53 coming up in the second round. We'll see if they hold on to those and pick two more players, or if there is another package or some kind of trade coming. We've seen a lot of trades so far all around the league as we are now getting ready to wrap up this first round. But let's tell you a little bit about Jaden Springer. He is originally from North Carolina, played ball there for a bit in high school, and then he transferred down to IMG Academy because he was identified as one of the five-star, you know, really elite level prospects. He goes to Tennessee. He does quite well there, playing for Rick Barnes, all freshman SEC, which is not, that says a lot, because you notice there's a couple teams down there like the Floridas and of course the Kentuckys. All they do is have freshmen, so it's a pretty good you know, note of his talent. His dad and all his brothers played college ball. His dad actually played at Iona. One of his brothers did too, and his dad played for Jimmy Valvano. So certainly comes from a good basketball family. He is a combo guard, as you mentioned. So this is something we talked about, what the Sixers need. Do they need a backup point guard? They've got Tyrese Maxey. So having a combo guard gives them that flexibility. You can play him with Tyrese Maxey. You mentioned his three-point shooting, 43.5%.
Yes.
I mean, that is something that's going to stick out to Sixers fans. At the college level, he was also able to get that shot off with defenders in his face. And I know that because I watched him beat Kentucky twice, like a drum. So what do you make of that? I mean, 43.5%, it's the stats, but seeing his physicality, I mean, he's 6'4", a little over 6'4", so he's a bigger combo guard.
He is, Amy, and you know, nowadays you can't have enough shooters,
right?
And he answers that bill. But now I think with Matisse Thybulle and Ben, we ran into certain things during the situation this season where we had one-way players, but I think guys that play one way of the floor. When you bring a gentleman like Springer in who can actually shoot the ball and actually can handle the ball a little bit and also defend, you bring guys in that can work both ends of the floor. So that gives you more tool in the tool chest to be out there and go and compete. But I still say he's a freshman. Coming in here, drafted first round, kudos to him. But with his Sixers team time to go, I think Maxey didn't get a lot of consistent playing time early in the season because he was so young, and they was afraid that his youngness will pop up at the wrong time and cost him a game. Is this guy going to play? Is Spring going to play being so young? I don't know. But he's a shooter. Can't go wrong with that.
He turns 19 coming up at the end of September, so he is exceptionally young. Yes. His three-point stats, they're good. It's not a volume shooter. He takes maybe 2 or 3 threes a game, but he's making 1 or 2 of those. So it looks like to me when you see a stat like that, and if you watch a couple of clips of him, which we're going to be posting throughout the night, on our website, NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com, you'll see that that means he's a judicious shooter. Yes. He's not a guy that's just going to go and jack it up. He looks for his spots. He knows what works for him. He's also a really good defensive player. Now, when you're looking at the Sixers, that is obviously their MO. They want to be a top defensive team. That is what Jaden Springer is really known for. He had 5 games with at least 3 steals in his college career. He had 7 games, though, on the flip side, with at least 5 assists. So he is a good two-way player. He's not a 3-and-D guy because his 3 isn't quite at that volume yet, but he could turn into that guy. Yes. He is coming up with at least 3 steals in 5 different games. And when you only play, you know, it's not the NBA, so that's a pretty good percentage of his college season.
I see a guy that's a workhorse. He knows he's not going to get a lot of shots. Why? Because he shoot a ton at his university. So it is going to come in here, he's going to fall in the step line and get in where he needs to fit in. And as long as you defend, hit an open shot when it's there, let's just say worst case scenario, you come in here as a 3-and-D guy. What can go wrong with that?
Right.
Nothing. We have somebody by the name of, what's his name? Joel Embiid that commands double teams, which means you're going to find open looks. Can you knock him down? And on the other end, can you guard? I like it. I like for what he can do for me. We need that type of player here. But will he play? I go back to that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the book on him is scrappiness. Obviously, when you have a guy that's going to be a defensive mindset, scrappiness is always the first thing, the willingness to put your body on the line. But he is more skilled. His athleticism is shown when you see him get up and down the court because he can really be a little bit craftier than maybe people give him credit for. They think that he's just a guy that's going to go ahead, pass the ball to the open man, or pick his spots. But he can really create the offense for him. Your question is, will he play? That's a valid question because if you look at the Sixers bench roster where seemingly a guy like Jaden Springer would be, it's littered with guys who can contribute if they're given the opportunity. So that begs the question, Mark, what do they do with all these guys? What do they do with Isaiah Joe? What do they do with Paul Reed? What do they do with Tyrese Maxey? Is there some, Jaden Springer now, is there some scenario in your mind that they lump all those guys together and now it's some super package in a Ben Simmons trade to get, I don't know, Damian Lillard?
Assets is the word for the day, people. Assets. When you got guys that can play, they are an asset that can either help you or go somewhere else that can help you pull off a trade you can get. You talk about that. You talk about Max. You talk about Paul Reed. You talk about other people. You talk about young talent. No matter how good you are, you always want to have young guys that's preparing the backdrop, working to get better, because that's your future. Whether you hold on to them or you unfortunately trade them to maybe a better situation for them, you still have to have somebody working ready to step up. I thought Maxey did an exceptional job, Amy, of this year, not necessarily playing consistently, but when his number was called, he came through and answered with full colors. And this could be another situation like that. Danny Green, free agent. Furkan, free agent. Let's think about that. Our two shooters, okay, Seth Curry, we know how prolific he is. But other than that, Danny Green, Furkan, our other two shooters are free agents. Those guys are going to command a pretty good penny. Can we afford them? We don't know that. But it's just a case, you got to have somebody waiting, and that's where he came in.
As everyone right now is like searching frenetically on the internet for things about Jaden Springer, I'll give you another stat that's you're going to enjoy as much as that 43.5% from three, even though, like I said, it's basically a 1 for 3 or 1 for 2.5 as far as how much he shoots his threes. 81% from the free throw line. Now
like
that's something we all enjoy, obviously. But that to me, you're a coach. If a guy can make 81% of his free throws, that screams that I have a repeatable and consistent shot. So that's your base. That you work from there. When you hear that he is 81% from the charity stripe, that I would say you think good things then.
It screams to me confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence, and the confidence I have that you can be on the floor at the end of the game and hit a free throw. I don't have to worry about, man, who I got on the floor, who's a good free throw shooter. We okay with you on the floor. So once again, you talking about ammo, you talking about twos in the tool chest. That's what it is. I don't have to reach and pick and go scheming because who I got on the floor, okay, I got to take him out. We got somebody that can play. We got someone that's not scared to shoot free throws. Even though he's young, he's proven over the time with the amount of shots he shot from the free throw line that he's well versed in that thing of hitting free throws. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, there's only a couple of knocks on his game, and a lot of it you can attribute to the fact that he's just 18 years old and only played 1 year in college.
Can we talk about that, Amy? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he's not
been
even
drafted
19.
and he's 18. Yeah. He's drafted. It's not like he's 19, 20, 20. He's 18, ladies and gentlemen. 18.
I mean, not even 19 till the end of September, September 25th, as I looked it up. But turnovers have been a problem a little bit in his young career. When I emphasize young career, we're looking at 1 year. And that obviously can come with just a little bit of pressure and wanting to do too much. And that's what happens when you're, this elite level prospect going to a school wanting to win right away and the ball's in your hands. That shouldn't be a problem, I would think, just because of the playing time. So when you're thinking about Jaden Springer and where he fits in, are you surprised that they took a guy so young? Because the Sixers seemingly want a guy that can, if they were going to use him, I need a guy that's going to be able to come off the bench and help me right away. Again, you're wondering if Jaden Springer can be that guy. If not this year, next year, he would still only be, 20 years old. 20 years old for the season. Can he be that guy eventually, or do you see him maybe heading out?
Amy, do I see him heading out? I don't know necessarily if that's the case, but I think they're saying whoever we drafted this number, we don't think can step in and help us right now. And that's not a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. So if we're going to do it, let's go with somebody young that we have more years to develop, that have more youth years that he can continue to playing. Let's go try to find that from a veteran on the free agent market. That's what I think the Sixers are doing because they want to win. You want to win a championship, you're not going to put an 18-year-old on the court. Respectfully, you're not. You're going to bring in somebody who's been there, done that. How can he contribute? He's been there. He sees what needs to be done and get it done. But once again, if we're going to pick someone, we're going to pick somebody extremely young so we have more years to work and develop him.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously been a little bit of their MO at times when you look at it. And this is a really nice player for them to select.
Yeah, absolutely.
His age obviously is a big question mark because he is so young. But as you mentioned, that means that he can be under their system for longer if he stays here in Philadelphia because he'll turn 19 right before the season starts. So he'll be 19 the entire NBA season, and he won't turn 20 until the start of his second NBA season. Was there a player that you looked at, because I know we talked upstairs, Mark and I were watching the draft together upstairs here at NBC Sports Philly, and we talked about Bones Highland, who's a guy from the area down at VCU and all 8 fall. But those are similar play. Those are shooters. Those are guys that can score and create offense. We know what the Sixers need. They need a player that can create offense.
Yes.
I don't know that they're ever going to get that at 28 because of the way the draft is stacked, and you saw so many guys go so early. But was there a player on your mind that you thought, "Ooh, that would be a really great pick"?
I don't know about a really great pick because, like I said, I'm not convinced that a player at this late in the draft can help us right now. But I was also thinking about, okay, let's say we move Ben out. Say we don't get a point guard. That means we put Maxey in.
Mm-hmm.
Why not get a backup? Sharif Cooper.
Yes.
Sharif Cooper, a lot of people know is an exceptional point guard. He's been heavily coveted since he was like in 9th grade. Auburn finally got eligible. When he got eligible, he created some great things for his team. I was thinking, if we're gonna go, we trade Ben. Why not get another point guard?
Mm-hmm.
I know we need more of a combo guard, but I think when the writing's on the wall, when you put it out there publicly, you're trying to trade Ben. I think deep down, hardly, you got to trade him before the season starts. That's just me.
Yeah, obviously there's been a lot of rumors and speculation, these deals that are being reported for King's ransom, and I get it. Like, listen, I get it. If you're gonna lose an all-star that has 4 years left on the contract, you want to get as much as possible. You want to get a star. You want to get a bunch of picks. What they ask for, like pick swaps as well. And if you got a player under 25, send them our way as well. So you hear these things with the Spurs or the Cavaliers, these giant mega deals, and the Raptors was a crazy one too. What did that tell you? Does that say to you that the Sixers are trying to start high and then can come off to
Absolutely.
start conversations? That's how you read
Absolutely.
it too?
You
Okay,
start
me too.
high and then you got wiggle room somewhere in between.
You're
not
come
going to put
low.
your minimum out there because you know you could do no better. You put your highest out there, see if anybody budge or at least knock on your door. And when your phone or rings, it's like real estate. You don't get no offers in the first week, you do something to that price. So the same thing here. Nobody budgets. Okay, well, we just put that. What you willing to offer us? You got to put your best thing out there and see if it may bite.
So when you look at some of the teams that they were in talks with, the Cavaliers being one, who are really trying to push Colin Sexton off, I think, on anybody, it seems like.
They called me for my AAU
Yeah, exactly.
team. I
They're
said,
like,
we're
hey,
okay.
you got some 13-year-olds, send them our way. The Raptors, Kyle Lowry, we saw who they actually took Scotty Barnes, which surprised me because I thought for sure Jalen Suggs was a perfect fit in Toronto to be their kind of, point guard and waiting. But Kyle Lowry's probably gone. So the Sixers might still be in on that. The Spurs was an interesting one because I didn't know exactly how that might shake out and who they could get in return, maybe a Keldon Johnson, but I can't imagine the Spurs are ready to give up on him because he really had a great year. Aside from Damian Lillard, is there a player out there you think that this is who the Sixers should be targeting, this type of deal?
I think we're reaching for the stars. We want another all-star return. We want the James Harden type package back. But I still go back. We've been saying it from last year throughout this year, and I still say it now. I think we want Dame Lillard, but we got to settle for C.J. McCollum. I think that's the kind of player we have to settle for. Somebody can combo guard, can step in there, who's a bona fide scorer, bona fide playmaker. Well, I know we reach for stars when we need an all-star, but we need an all-star caliber player, and C.J. McCollum is definitely an all-star kind of player.
Listen, I'll tell this quick story. So we went to go cover C.J. his second year at Lehigh after they already beat Duke, so it's right before the season starts. Okay. And how we do is we go up there and we get B-roll. We're just shooting around trying to get some footage of him on the practice court. And our guy, Tom Kretschmer, is up there shooting. And I met with my producer and we look over and I was like, you seeing what I'm seeing? He's like, yeah. We filmed him for a solid 20 minutes. He never missed a single shot. 18 feet, 25 feet, 12 feet, 19 feet, 22, all over the court. And I was like, oh, he could be helpful. Then, of course, you know, he broke his foot, I think, like a couple of games later. And I tried not to think that I was the jinx. But C.J. McCollum it's like saying, like, you don't want Klay Thompson. Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you want C.J. I mean, I don't know what it takes to get a guy like that, but it would be great. Obviously, he played his ball at Lehigh. I know he's from the Ohio area in Cleveland, but you know, it'll be interesting to see because there's still a couple of picks and there's still plenty of time. But you think that the time is now for Ben Simmons to move on, right?
I think it is. Unfortunately, I think his performance in the playoffs, turning down shots, and I said this is to many people that stop me in the street. They say, "What are we going to do with Ben?" Ben is an exceptional talent. He's an exceptional young man. But when you live in the city of Philadelphia, you play for Philadelphia, they're a very unforgiving city. And I'm a Philadelphia, so I'm telling you. Meaning, Ben's performance in the last round of playoffs is going to be weigh heavily on the fans' minds. So Ben can average 30, 20, and 10. But they'll say, yeah, but in crunch time, are you going to go back to what you showed us in the last playoffs? Are you really changed? And I think this is going to be hard for him to shake. I think he needs a restart.
We're going to wrap up here. I do want to say that there were so many fans that were so supportive of Ben, and it was a shame that it's come to this because they really were pulling for him. And I think it was genuine cheers when he would do well, and it's disappointing that, you know, it's come to this and that this is where we're at, especially after the whole Carson Wentz thing with the Eagles. You're like, well, can't we just catch a break, you know? But that's the way it is, you know, on to bigger and better things for both Ben Simmons perhaps and the Sixers. So we'll wait to see where they pick at 50 and 53. Those are the 2 second rounders. They picked up 53 earlier today. So we'll see if they pick there. But Mark and I will be back after those selections. Thanks for joining us here on Sixers NBA Draft Reaction, proudly brought to you by Cure Auto Insurance.